All right, welcome back to the Little Art Studio podcast. My name is Ashlyn McKibben. I'm going to be your host, and I'm here with Miss Jax Fantastic.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Well, it's so exciting to be here. This is my first podcast, so I've been kind of dreaming about what this experience would be like, and it gets to be with my dear friend, you.
You have, like, such a radio personality.
I hope so. I have a little bit of a lisp, which I'm always like, when I listen to myself, I'm like,
I've never noticed that
really?
before, yeah.
It's just me then.
Yeah.
My name is Jax Fantastic. I've been a stripper, pole dancer for almost 10 years, and I've also had other elements of burlesque and go-going since I moved to Florida almost 4 years ago.
Nice. Which one did you start with?
So my background has been very heavy in like technical dancing. My mom's a dance teacher. My sister was like under her tutelage like pretty much her whole life, and I was like, I want to do hip hop.
Yeah.
So I kind of had like a very like, you know, edgy type of idea of like what I wanted my dance life to be. And then whenever I moved to Pittsburgh, because I'm like from Pennsylvania, but I'm like from the rural parts. Mm-hmm. But once I went to college there, I was just thinking, I'm like, why don't I just give it a go? So technically my first performance was a striptease burlesque performance to Rihanna, Rude Boy. So, and that was like, you know, like paper pasties, not a lot of production value there, but I did it and I was just like, I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was how many years ago?
Oh, God, I'm so old. So I've been down here for 4, so it had to be at least about 12 years ago before I like really started going to clubs and trying to put myself out there like that.
And you were in clubs in Pennsylvania as well?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And when you moved here, how was that experience kind of transitioning from Pittsburgh to Miami?
Well, I think no one really expected the pandemic to happen.
Yeah.
So I moved here very shortly before that, and at the time
I don't have the grasp that that's like 4 years ago. Like when you were like, I moved here 4 years ago, and then you're like right before the pandemic. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
like
right.
I basically made a very like bold decision to move away from Pittsburgh because I had been there for quite some time as well, and it was just kind of not where I wanted to be anymore. And I came here on vacation and thought, why don't I just try it out?
Yeah.
So then when I came down here, I was only dancing. I was dancing like 5-6 nights a week as a green dancer where no one knew who I was, and we're kind of like, who's this girl? And then all the clubs shut down. So it was very hard. It was really hard to like try to think outside the box of how I'm going to keep my art going.
And I know that you leaned into digital for a little bit. I know we're kind of involved in the same little community of Octopussy and everything in that regard, but do you feel like, I don't know, I don't want to say do you feel scared of that happening again, but how do you feel now after we're out of all of that?
Well, I think that we came out of that stronger than before because I think we all just had these like dreams and ideas of like how to keep our art alive, because I was doing other types of entertainment as well. Like a lot of my friends from New York City were doing these live performances where it'd be a live chat room and like tip based. And, you know, I'm like setting up a whole like dance routine in my bedroom like I did when I was like a teenager. So basically I felt like once we all came together and met each other and it was all kind of new and exciting.
Yeah.
And then things opened back up, we had a good like base to work off of. So I felt like it was a blessing, honestly. When you look back on it at the time, you're like, this is terrifying. I don't know anybody. I have no girlfriends. I'm kind of like rolling solo right now. And then we all just like naturally came together.
Well, I also feel like it's good being in Miami. I know other cities were way more strict in performing and reopening and stuff like that. So I don't know. For me personally, I know I worked almost all the way through the pandemic, like with still shooting events and still shooting like sessions and stuff. So I don't know, we're lucky in that aspect that we got to reopen and kind of get life started a little bit sooner.
Right, and like having to learn a new set of skills. Like I was just constantly taking photos, editing.
Marketing,
putting myself out there, trying to think of new ideas. And it was nice with all of the free time, of course, but now it's like, I'm glad that we're back in person.
Yeah.
You know, it's more easier. My energy is more so on, like, in person, like, in that moment. Like, the way, like, theater and art and dance really is all about.
I feel like that with you. I'd rather just, like, call you than, like, text you. Right. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that in general with you. Yeah. I was curious because you said your mom was a dance teacher, so you were doing that when you were a kid?
So she had a dance studio for 18 years. And I think that I kept trying to lean more toward, like, sports and stuff. And, like, I would rather hang out with my friends who were my neighbors, and my sister went with her. But then I started, like, taking interest in hip-hop. And then in high school, I was, like, dying to be the lead in every year of the musical. Mm-hmm. So, like, I would have to take tap lessons and stuff. And, like, I just have that natural talent. Mm-hmm. I've always loved to dance. Whether it's, like, the more traditional way or not, like, it's something that I can't shake, you know?
Does your family, like, accept you working in, like, your environment, or do they know, or, like, how is that dynamic?
So they know, and the only reason why I felt like it was really important for them to know, because honestly, it's a very difficult topic, even with my mom, who, like, she understands me and accepts me, but at the same time, she doesn't really know what to say, and it probably makes her slightly uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, even with my performances that don't involve being at the club, like, she's just kind of, like, maybe a little bit of a prude. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, Mom. But
we won't send this to her.
but the rest of my family, you know, like, they all know it's not really talked about. Mm-hmm. And for me, I just kind of, like, I felt the need to tell her the truth, especially, and I knew it would get around because that's just the way stuff goes. But I wanted her to know because, like, stuff can go really south. Yeah. Like, in, like, a blink of an eye if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel comfortable, like, lying to her or feeling like she doesn't know where I am or what I'm up to.
Yeah, that's important. Speaking of things, like, kind of going south, have you had, like, I don't want to say, like, monumental, but, like, a standout moment that was kind of the scariest for you, or?
I mean, I've never really had any type of issues with females at work. Mm-hmm. That's what everyone always warned me about. Like, oh, like, the girls in Miami are cutthroat. And, you know, sometimes, like, I felt that way, but it's kind of, like, such a whirlwind of events that have happened in the club that you have to, like, go into, like, fight or flight mode. Yeah. And, like, really crazy, spooky stuff, like people having heart attacks and dying in the club. That's probably the most recent one, where I was, like, there and I'm watching it all happen from a distance, and I'm just like, this is wild.
Can you talk about that story?
I would love to. Okay, it's really funny, actually. So it's like a Thursday night. This is the club I'm currently at now. I've been there for 2 years, and I'm just like, there's nobody in here. So I usually, like, I can talk to the older guys, like the really older guys, much easier than some of the other girls. So I see him sitting there. I'm dancing for him, and he's just like, oh, you know, I don't have much time left. So, you know, this is great. And I'm just like, like, that's so funny. And all of a sudden, everyone starts rushing to the lap dance room. And the guy, God rest his soul, had either a heart attack or something else happened to him. But I'm dancing for, like, this 94-year-old man talking about, like, I'm knocking on heaven's door, and all of a sudden, boom, over here. And I just was like, do you see what he was like, what? I'm like, oh, no. Do you see what's going on? So I find that to be the funniest part about it. And then I did end up staying because they didn't close, which I thought was kind of
that's wild,
bold of them. And people are like, yeah, like, let's go get a dance in the back. And I'm just like, do you see all the caution tape that's wrapping around the entire corner of the bar?
There's, like, literally a scene happening.
Do you know what's happened, young man? And they're like, what? It's just like, it was wild.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's probably the most recent one.
I wonder if he, like, kind of just did it. I mean, I don't know. To me, I feel like if you're in that position, I'm like, I wonder if he just kind of, like, OD'd. And
that's what I literally, and that's the other thing too. It's like with these places, like, having safety measures, which I really wish that, like, these people who run these types of businesses have Narcan, have all these tools to actually save somebody. And when I watched that, that was like the first.
And have everybody trained on it too, because I feel like, I mean, if you handed me like Narcan, I wouldn't know what to do with it, to be totally honest.
Exactly.
You know, like,
and like people, you know, it's just people are on a different level in those types of places. But even now, like at music festivals, for example, which I also work at as a go-go dancer, they have been implementing those practices where I'm like, finally, you know, like it could save someone's life for real.
Yeah, I hear about certain music festivals like handing it out to all of like the team members and stuff like that. So it seems like in those higher populated events and stuff,
at least they're acknowledging it. Because most of the time people don't really acknowledge how serious that is.
Right.
Which is why it's like, you gotta stay away from it. Like, it's just so dangerous these days. Like, as time goes on, people are just out to like really take advantage.
Yeah.
So
do you ever feel like that's I don't know the environments obviously as well as you do, but as far as like a safety measure, like if you're using anything, or like if you're drinking or if you're smoking or whatever, like do you feel like that, you know, benefits or hinders you? Like kind of which direction does that go for you? Because I know for me, I would want to take like a shot and loosen up and you know, like do something to kind of bring myself.
The problem is with some guests, they will just try to like load it on you, like pour the liquor on you, and like
they want you to party with them.
And so for me, like I do pole tricks. I'm like and I have almost really hurt myself for being a little too over the edge. So I try to like stay away from it, because honestly, like I try my best to be one of the top entertainers there who actually like put a lot of effort onto their stage performance. And it really shows if you're not on. So
which do you feel like is your favorite place or kind of style of performing that you do?
So for me, the Octopussy performance that we did a few months back, where my performance was more like a performance art piece in a way, where it was much more like theatrical and had like a story and a through line, and I really like thought everything through, and like the emotive energy that it brought. It's one of my favorite performances, and like you took so many great pictures of me that night too, and like that type of like more dreamy aesthetic type of performance is more like what I prefer, because I can always be high energy. Whenever I'm at the club, and especially when I hear my song, I'm just like, oh, let's go. But with that, it's like people are like actively engaging and watching you, and also our events are very pro. You better be tipping. So like everyone is like ready to go, paying attention, and like giving you that beautiful space that like all artists are looking for. And I'm like, I watch videos of that one like all the time.
I want to talk about like the tip culture as well, because I feel like a lot of people don't even know, which is weird. But I feel like I was watching something, it might have been on like TikTok or Instagram, but somebody was talking about tip culture, and there was like legitimately so many men in the comments that had no idea that when you go to a strip club, you literally have to tip.
It's so shocking to me at this day and age with how many people that actually come to my job. It's like, how do you
in
not
Miami
know?
Too, like in Florida in general, like people are coming here on vacation, and
and it's like when I was in Pennsylvania, the club that I worked at, the stage was inside the bar, so they had to ball up every single dollar and chuck it at you. So at the end of the night, you're just unrolling all this money, and you're like, fuck, man. And then if they don't tip you, or they try to like hit you in the eye or something crazy, you know, like they'll do stuff like that. So then there's that. And then we get to here where, like I said, not to be tooting my horn that much, but I am like one of the few dancers who really like puts on a show for people. And there are nights where people are just like, yeah. And then other nights where people will be like, and then I'm just like, what is wrong with you? It's just shocking to me. And it's not like, the problem is management won't encourage people like that. Like they won't be like, hey, you should probably be tipping her if you're sitting here.
I feel like it's almost, it might
I
be
wish
like,
they would, but
it
they
might
won't.
be like a complex, because they're like, oh, well, if they spend all the money on the dancers, they're not going to spend their money at the bar or something like that.
I get it. And that's the thing. Like, I think they kind of commodify us in a way, like when, like they don't They definitely have our backs. Like my team over at Diamond Dolls, they always have my back. They're always like, yo, don't touch her like that. Like handle things like that quickly.
Yeah.
But in terms of like telling people to tip, they can't, because they do know that like they're going to spend money at the bar. They're going to spend money tipping the floor guy who connects them with the right girl. Like they're, you know.
I didn't even know they would tip them like that.
Yeah.
So how many people are getting tipped then, I guess, at the end of the night?
A lot.
Because you guys, but you guys pay out like DJs and everything too. Like, who are you paying at the end of the night? Because it's not like, I think also too, just for people listening who might not know, you guys have to pay your house fee. You have to pay, well, it's like you're renting the space essentially for your job. And when it comes to like when you're doing dances on the floor, you don't have to tip out anybody. But when you utilize any of the lap dance areas, there's like a guy there sitting there. You have to tip him at each time and at the end of the night. DJ, which I always tip them nicely because they hook me up. They always put me on stage when I ask them to. So like they deserve my tip for that. The house mom, the house itself, the managers, all of the floor guys, and whoever else you feel like tipping, like barbacks or waitresses, if they hook you up with a customer, because that just depends. But I see it as like our fee is not super, super high like other mainstream clubs down here. It's like they're like asking for like $200, $300, $400 sometimes if you work super late. Yes. And my club, it's more around like, I would say about, because I'm nice, it's usually about $100 or so. And I tip people who like, you know, a little extra if they help me out. Like you have to give to get it back. Give to get, and especially, you know, money talks. Yeah. Can I ask like the percentage of income that you usually like spend on other people at the end of the night?
So
if you have like, I know every day is different. But.
Right. Like recently, like it was like a little slow for me. So I made about, I would say about $400, and I end up going home with like $325, or something around there. And it's like on nights when I'm doing super well, like I've had like $1,000 nights on a Tuesday, which people don't really expect, and I'm always just like, for you and for you, like, you know, this is, you know, whenever you're having a good night, it really shows, and you just keep like succeeding in that way. So I don't really sweat the money part very much, especially since my club is super respectful to me. And I've never had any problems with like people being creepy toward me or trying to solicit me or things like that, which happens a lot. Yeah. So.
That's good though, that you feel like safe and comfortable.
Oh yeah.
I'm always kind of curious about that aspect because obviously it's so inconsistent. Do you feel comfortable with saying like the most you've ever made in a night?
I'm sure, like, and that's a funny thing too, because whenever I first moved down here and people would be trying to like talk shit to me or just like random customers that thought they were, you know, better than me or something, they're just like, oh, you think that your cool little $1,000 is something? And I'm just like, I think it's something. It's fucking hard to have to sit there and talk to all these people and try to like make a real connection with them. At least that's how I do my business. But I would say I've made over $2,000 in a night before, and especially when it comes to like certain like holiday parties and when people are like ready to spend. Easy money.
Nice. That's awesome. Can I ask the flip side of what's the worst night you've done?
Yes, it's summertime in Florida is definitely the slowest, and
for me too.
It's terrible, right? And like, I really dread it, but I'm going to try to push through and just like keep doing what I'm doing. Cause I've been at my club for 2 years. It's not like it's like brand new to me anymore, but, like $150. Sometimes less. Like when I was working at bigger clubs where I had to be there from like 11 to like 5 in the morning, there'd be times I wouldn't make a damn thing. And then you have to pay everybody. And then they're like, well, I don't care. Too bad. Pay up. And you go home with nothing. That's happened before.
I've seen like people like leaving in the negative.
Oh my God. It's like literally when that stuff happens, because you have to just like keep pushing. Because for a while I would just let it bother me so much. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why is this not working? Like, what's something that I need to change to try to like get more positive feedback? But at the same time, it's like you have to find the right club and the right, you know, and you also know who's a good customer for you and who's not, because personally I don't need your money if you're going to be a jerk to me.
Yeah, well, that's also to the beauty of being a freelancer and being independent.
Walking
and having
away,
that control.
honey.
Yeah, saying
Goodbye.
no. That's the best feeling, man, when somebody is really a pain in the ass and then they come back to you and I'm just like, no, I don't need to do this.
Yeah, and that's good. And they think like, oh, like you don't want this money. I'm like, I don't want your money.
It's like I don't want the pain in the ass.
Like I want his money. Who's being very respectful to me. I don't need your money. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Like, so go away.
It's good to hear though that you have like those interactions where you do have like respectful clients and a respectful workplace and stuff like that, because I feel like not everybody has that, so it's a good.
Well, it's
like refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like I really tried to like approach people in a way that's not too pushy, because that's a thing that I hear from them that they don't like. I just kind of try to like lean in with like a little bit of a joke, or try to like, you know,
like hang out.
Yeah, and not for too long.
Yeah.
However, trying to like really captivate them in some way. But I usually wait till I go on stage. I see who's looking. I go straight to them. Like, did you like the show?
Yeah.
And like, you know, and then, you know, they're just like, wow, I didn't expect you to be such a good dancer. I'm like, thank you.
But it is also like acting too, because I feel like your personality changes so much even from when I've seen you perform. And, you know, we'll be like talking and you're in your little robe or whatever, and then you're like, and you just like transform into another person.
Modern geisha, for sure. Yeah. I think that's what I do enjoy about it, because I did go to school for theater, and I think past just like my performance side, I've always wanted to know how to communicate with people better, and like theater is like the nitty gritty of like the human emotion and the ego, the id, the this or that, and like seeing people's objectives like within 5 seconds, you know, it helps.
It's super psychological too. I know like we've talked about the experience of, for some people, is kind of like a therapy.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have that kind of power over them to decide their evening, you know, like decide how their personality and their mood is going to be for that night. So,
and like, honestly, most of the time I do, because for a while I used to be like super aggressive with people, and it really was turning people off, because I would be like, why aren't you tipping this girl? Like, just being all like super femme about it, like, why aren't you tipping her? Look at her.
Yeah.
And they're like, Jax, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, it's not working. So, and then when I see other people do that, I'm like, that is not the way. You just let them be. They're just going to do what they want to do anyway. So I try to just approach people on a real like human to human interaction. Like, you seem like such a real girl. I'm like, I am a real girl.
Yeah, like I'm literally a real person.
Like,
sitting
you know,
here.
Jax and Kelsey are synonymous women. Yeah. So I just think that the other one is just more turned up.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because I hear people call you Kelsey, and I still just call you Jax.
A lot of my friends do, and they're like, is it okay if I call you Jax?
Yeah,
like,
it's just to me, you're Jax.
It's my name. Like, I picked it for myself, and I definitely love my birth given name too, but just like I thought of it years ago when I was doing webcamming in that very interesting time.
The era.
Very short era. But I was like, what's like a different name that I've never heard? And I was like, Jax.
Yeah.
It was Jax Indigo previously, but I upped it a little bit.
That's cute too. Jax Fantastic sounds like spectacular. Like I want to see it in some lights.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, and I very proudly stand behind it, and I think that my actual success as a performer, but also outside of that world, because it is two different worlds. And as much as I really love the like immediacy and the comfort of the club, I want to like express myself artistically. And so like, I'm glad that I've been able to do that in South Florida, because I really wasn't doing that in Pittsburgh. I was just kind of like brushing it off, or not really like engaging in what I really wanted. And now I feel like I'm doing the best I can, but like I'm, you know, I love to perform, and people can see it whenever I'm out there doing my thing.
Yeah. I want to kind of segue a little bit. Can we talk about like dating as a dancer?
Sure.
Is that, I mean, we can always cut it. But.
No, it's honestly very like, I'm already a pretty alpha person, and as I've been getting older, my impatience with just Men mostly, but just people in general, like having some type of judgment towards me. I'm just like, I don't even want to bother. It's like, I don't think you understand. There are plenty of men who would pay good money to be around me.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to be respectful toward me, I don't need to like and I don't need to have to be like, oh, like, I hope you don't mind if I'm a dancer. I'm like, fuck you. I don't care if you care or not. And most of the time, like, they end up either meeting me there or they go there to other establishments. And it's like, you can't really tell someone what to do with their body. And I don't like the constant assumption that I'm always just fucking and sucking for money.
Yeah.
Which I'm really not. I'm not judgmental of that, but that's not how I make my money because it makes me extremely uncomfortable. Like, I'm just like, you don't deserve my body. And especially whatever rate you think you're going to give me that other people charge way less for. It's not like I was paid over $100,000 in a relationship in 1 year. I don't need that again.
Right.
So it's hard though. It really is hard because I feel like I'm just kind of this like unicorn type of person. And I want people to know that there's like more than one side of me. Like I'm not always Jax. Like when I'm at home just like relaxing and like trying to recoup from all of the energy I get, that's not who I am.
I was going to say that. I'm curious about that too, like when you go home, because I feel like it's such an expel of energy. Yeah. And I don't even know how you have like brain at the end of the night. And
the thing is, I'm around people a lot in general, like in my everyday life and there. And it's like, you're like playing like social tennis where you're just like, oh, you just said that to me? Whoa, okay. Oh, you just said that to me? Okay, that's cool, whatever. And like just up and down. And like, because not every person's a good apple. So like, and they'll say some really graphic things to you very boldly. And you're just like, ew. Like, you know, you want to like smudge yourself or something at the end of the night most of the time. But it's definitely hard, especially when I just in general, I think dating has been pretty superficial. Like, you know, when someone's like there for you and rides or dies for you. Yeah. And I'm like just seeing that more and more as I get older.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I'm always just curious with certain types of careers and stuff like that because people have such a stigma and, you know.
Yeah, and it's bullshit, too. Because they'll be like, oh, I'm dating a stripper, but I secretly don't like it, though.
Yeah, like, but also, too, you shouldn't just, like, lead with, I'm dating a stripper.
Right, like, you know, I have a lot more facets to my personality. Yeah. I think sometimes I do lead in with it because I am really proud of it because people just think it's like some type of hush-hush job. And it's really not. Like, and it's also being glamorized by Jennifer Lopez and like, you know, them stealing money from people. I
was gonna ask how you feel about like the media representation because I feel like we're seeing more of it, but I don't know if it's
not there yet. Yeah. I mean, for me,
like it's not like accurate or
it's
appropriate.
It's just like it's a time and a place. Like, oh, in this moment, it's all like good for you, but then on Twitter, you're going to say that, like, oh, it's only for, like, nurses trying to get through school and it's only a phase and all this shit. It's like, fuck you. Have you ever tried to climb a pole and hold your body weight up there upside down without breaking your neck?
Yeah, and
it's
looking sexy
and looking sexy at the same time.
With your ass out.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, it takes a lot of guts. Actually, I have a quick story about this. Yeah. When I was first, like, dancing in Pittsburgh, I went to this couple, a guy and a girl. The guy was, like, very respectful, very cool, whatever. And she's, you know, everyone's all bundled up because it's cold up there. And she is like looking at the dancers on stage and like what they're wearing, how they look. And she's just like, ew, like, oh my God, like how could she possibly think that she looks good? And I'm like, excuse me. Yeah. I was like, you can't talk about her like that. Right. And she was just like, but just look at her. I'm like, maybe you should go take your Abercrombie and Fitch off and go strip and see how you do up there, Miss Thing. And it made me so mad because I'm like, you have no right to slut shame somebody or just shame them for how they look or how they chose to dress that night. Because guess what? Yeah. That bitch is walking out with a bag and you're walking out with probably a soft boner at the end of the night. So, like, it's just, you know, and I put her in her place pretty quickly. But when moments like that happen, I'm just like, people just don't get it.
Do you feel like the slut shaming comes from more women than men?
Honestly, I haven't experienced it from women in a while because I've never had to like really defend myself, not for a long time, which is refreshing. I would say that like people will just say things not meaning it in a harmful way, but just being like, oh, well, like, you can't be doing this for the rest of your life, can you? And I'm just like, who the fuck asked you?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Like, what's you don't just walk up to random people you meet and ask them their retirement plan.
Right. And, like, what happens when your body gives out on you? That's what one of my friends would always say. I'm just like, I'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah,
you know?
We'll figure it out then.
Right. And it's like, you know, I think that it's a very liberating journey for, like, your body, your fitness, like, your sense of, like, self and sensuality. At least that's my experience. People may not think of it that deep like I do, but like you know, it saved my life. It got me to be able to do splits on each side of my body. Like I always wanted to do that when I was a kid. I'm like, damn, like I need to get myself together. So
yeah, I mean, I feel that way as well. Like, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people know or they don't that I did pull for a hot minute, and I feel like coming out of like a really
you're so good,
but coming out of like a really bad relationship, I kind of started that to kind of get like back in touch with my body, and people don't realize like how, first of all, how hard it is, how much of a workout it is, and also too, like exactly what you're saying, liberating, you know, you feel your power in it and stuff like that. So people don't really understand like how empowering it can be, you know, but there's always a flip side, but.
Right. And like, and then, you know, I don't like to hate on anybody's journey on trying to like discover pole and the art of pole dancing, but you know there is always the slut shaming issue of like, oh, I'm not a stripper, I'm a pole performer, and it's like, you know what, bitch,
unpack that.
Like
the pole dancers, you know, versus the sex workers.
Because here's the thing, you know, and like sometimes people don't agree, but like strippers are sex workers. They're all like, they're near people, they're like close to bodily fluids, but at the same time they're like entertaining the fuck out of these people. And then like doing intense pole tricks where like you could almost kick someone in the face at my club. It's happened multiple times because it's like a narrow little area, and like going through all of the elements of like the wind, the rain, this and that. Like at pole competitions, you're just like swinging around having a good time. Yeah,
you have like also too like a space away from everybody, or
and it's like stage, and it's like, why don't you get naked since you're doing so good? You know, I don't feel like it's fair of them to say that when it's like, who do you think started all of this?
Yeah.
You know, like technically gymnasts, I'm sure, but like an aerialist to some extent, because that's like I find really beautiful too, like the hoop and the silks and stuff. Yeah, that it takes a lot of talent. Yeah. So, you know, it's just everyone should just be like happy that we're all just like out here in the same space together and not shaming each other.
Yeah. But also should stop shaming each other.
But I mean, I did talk bad shit about him just now, but it's true though, because it's like
it's a bad mentality, you know, to sit here and not acknowledge like either where it came from or you know the people that are responsible for it being, I guess, more socially acceptable. Also.
Right, and people be like, "Ooh, I have this naughty secret. I've been going to pole class."
Yeah,
like good for you, Sally.
My favorite thing when I had started it was like, "Oh, I've always wanted to try it," and I'm like, "So just try it. Yeah. Like it's not that deep, you know." Like,
for sure,
just give it a shot.
Put a pole in your house and start spinning. Girl.
Yeah, I'm like, why don't you go to a class? Well, I don't know if I could ever do that.
I'm exposed. Yeah,
you have to like wear your underwear.
Right. Like even in some of the classes I've taken recently, like we did a shoulder mount and you have to take your shirt off because you'll slip. And she's like, I'm not sure. I'm like, it's a bunch of women. Like, let's go. Like,
it's not like we've never seen this before.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, with this type of like conversation, it's not even about the art of pole dancing or stripping. It's hating on other women. Yeah. Like we already have enough problems. And that's why, like, I pride myself of staying away from drama. I've never gotten in a fight with a girl at a club.
Yeah.
They may not like me or have talked shit about me, but I will not engage with that type of behavior. It's just like, it's just not classy.
Keep your energy clean.
Right. And
I would feel so nervous. I'd be like, I just want to be friends with everybody.
Me too. Me too.
Like, you want to hang out? What are you doing after?
The amount of times where I'm just like, girl, you look so pretty. And they're just like,
yeah, like, why are you like that?
Like, why can't you take the compliment. Like, I just want to be your friend.
Be like, tell me I look pretty too.
Yeah, for real. I have a few like girlfriends that are like not like super fake to me. They're always just like, bitch, what's up? And I like those types of friends are always like classic.
But I also feel like it could be way more fun, you know, like make your night go by faster. Hang out with, you know?
Yeah, I'm not there to make enemies, and like girls who have some type of like alpha chip on their shoulder, they're just always just like, I'm just like, whatever. Like,
there's kind of a thing with like photographers and videographers at events, and I don't know what it is because I just want to be like besties with everybody. But there's sometimes where like the videographers will just like give you the dirtiest look and they won't speak to you like the entire night. And I'm like, why are you being like that? We could do this together.
You're so sweet.
We're like, shooting the same thing.
Not be friends with you? Like,
I don't know. Everybody always thinks that I have like the resting bitch face, and then they're like, I'm nice.
One of your friends told me I had a mean face at your birthday party.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, what do you mean by that? Like,
I think I remember hearing this conversation in the distance.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know how to take that, but
yeah, I have it too.
Don't fuck with me. Like, but
no, I feel that too. But also, I feel like that can also like hinder you a little bit, you know? And I'm trying to sit with a smile all the time.
Yeah, I definitely, you know, I think that if I get in my head when I'm on the floor, or if like I'm just like impatiently waiting to go on stage, because that's always like, I want to go now.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
yeah,
I gotta
that's me.
Wipe this off, and like trying to stay off my phone because I'm just like, there's nobody here. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, it just breeds just like really negative thoughts. Like, I used to be like so negative when I was there, being like, I'm not gonna make any money because I'm not pretty, because of this, because of that, and I'm just like, that's enough. Like, it's just not even worth thinking out, overthinking it that much, because it's just like, on to the next.
Yeah.
On to the next day.
Yeah. What do you feel like your biggest insecurity is when you're dancing? If I can ask that.
Well, I find the like guys will always say the same cyclical things to you, and they'll just be like, oh, an American. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Which I'm like, it does work in my favor because there's only a few, maybe 5, 6 American girls that work there, and the rest are all Latino women. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I feel like sometimes when I see the type of money that they make, because they're just like, you know, they're just different from me. Mm-hmm. And I've had people, clubs, bartenders be like, you need to get your tits done. You need to get your ass done. All this stuff. And I'm just like, I would never in my life go under the knife like that. Yeah. Like, I've never...
Me neither. To me, it's terrifying. I don't judge anybody for doing it, but it seems...
I'm like, good for you, honey, but like...
So scary.
It is scary, and it really makes me stand out. And when I first started, it was kind of like... people would just look at me like, what's this girl from Arkansas doing here? Or like, or something like that. And they would just, it would just give them an opportunity to be like really disrespectful to me. Yeah. And for a while it was just like, yo, what's your problem? At least I can have a conversation with you. Yeah. And tell you that you're being a dick. And a lot of the times I think that they will say certain things to me because they know I speak English. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why would you say that? Like, do you know that you're here to talk to women? Yeah. Is this your idea of getting women? Yeah. You know, but that's like usually my biggest thing, where I'm always just like, I feel like I get like an underdog type of edit sometimes, where I'm just like, yo, like, I have personality. I can make you laugh. Like, I can walk away. I can go dance. I can do this. Like, none of these ladies can do it like I do it.
But also, too, like, I feel like that's kind of the beauty of it. If you can kind of, like, select the person you're interested in to spend your evening, you know, or at least spend the next hour with or whatever. Like, you don't have to sit here and,
desperation.
Be a dick to other people that aren't, like, your visual interest or anything.
Right. And, like, that happens a lot, too, where people will just walk right up to me and be like, yo, let's go in the back. I'm like, I don't even know your fucking name. Like, who are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, like, literally, like, what happened to this part? Like, I'm still a woman.
It's still a human interaction.
Right. And so, like, and then there's just like, what's your problem? I'm like, I don't see any money in your hand. Yeah. So until I see it, I will happily give you my attention. Because there's some people who have to be like, you don't get it, bro. Yeah. But most of the time, I can, like, figure it out via eye contact, tipping me on stage, of course. Yeah. And then I just have to turn it into a Sadie Hawkins dance if no one walks up to me. And that's always, like, tough. I'm always just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
what are you doing over here by yourself?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. But yeah, it's always a challenge, like a mental challenge for me to try to like not get upset if they say something really whack to me, or try to like curveball them and like say something even funnier to them. Like it can work sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, I have to go outside for a second.
Yeah.
So and like just taking breaks and knowing that like, you know, fuck them, on to the next, pretty much. So.
Right. I know. I feel like I dwell on things too much. I feel like that's like a personal problem that I need to fix. Like if somebody says something to me, I get bothered and I stand outside and I'm like grumpy about it. You know? Like,
what's a girl? How could a girl like you not have a man by now? Literally haunts me to this day.
No.
And I'm just like, you fucking asshole. And I was like bawling my eyes out at the bar. This is a long time ago. And like the bartender was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying out here? I'm just like,
do you get like the savior thing where they're like, let me take you out of here?
I'm like, do you have a yacht?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's always funny, like the wild promises that they want to claim that they want to give you. And it's just like, all right, sweetie.
It's like you manage an AT&T, relax.
Yeah.
Calm
Exactly.
down.
Like you own a cement company, calm down. Like and that's the thing too. And most of them are all like extremely unavailable, because me personally, not everyone would agree with this, but like if I want to go on a date with someone I meet at the strip club, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like I don't, like, you know, with safety in mind, of course.
Yeah.
But like usually intuition tells me no pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty obvious, and they're all usually unavailable.
I was gonna say, do you feel like most of your clientele is married? And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, 100%.
And the wives definitely don't know what they're up to.
Well, sometimes whenever I see a man and a woman,
Or they
at
were
the
sent
club,
there by their wives.
I mean, I wish. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'll babysit them for a little bit, honey.
Yeah.
It'll be expensive, but when there's like women and men together, that's always the best. Especially when they're both respectful and they're both kind of like kinky in that way.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, fuck yeah, because a lot of the girls don't want to talk to them because they're threatened by the wife being there or the girlfriend or whoever. I'm just
And
like,
you're like, no, you're not.
I will talk to both of them. That's not a problem. So, yeah, it's just like there's a cruel sense of reality when it comes to talking to these people where I like, you know, I've fallen in love with the wrong people before, and it's like, you gotta really like look at the facts here.
I was gonna say, because they could be acting too.
Oh yeah, it's another thing. It's like it's tough whenever men are just so frivolously lying about stuff. And
Yeah.
like, and even to me, to my face, I'm just like, okay, like
Yeah.
whatever. So I try to keep it to a minimum, because honestly, I don't really like engaging my personal life with that life as much as I used to. My creative performances, absolutely. Like my go-going performances, absolutely. I will give anyone an invite as long as they're bringing that cash.
Yeah.
But like I you know, after that point, it's just like this room right here is where we stay.
Yeah.
No seeing you outside.
Yeah.
None
I
of
feel like
that
that's
shit.
healthy.
Well, I used to do it, and honestly, I watched this show called The Deuce on HBO, where like it was like the prostitution era on 42nd Street in New York, and some really graphic shit happened on that show. And back then, and it's just like, who's to say someone won't just like
Right.
blow your fucking brains out after having you for the night, like, and just like crazy occurrences that you don't expect, or like someone like a fight breaking out, the wife coming over, or like something crazy. It's like, I just would rather just like to meet a really nice, rich, single guy.
Yeah.
And have it be a super normal experience, like The Hills or The OC tries to tell me. But it's not happened yet. It's not happened yet.
Yeah, our little co-star.
But that's all right. I mean, I have my pets, you know, that kind of keep me going. I have a really solid group of girlfriends in and out of the club. So like, that's really all you need.
I feel like you're always doing something. Like you're like on a boat, you're working out, you're skating. I'm like, Jax is always up to something.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because sometimes I'm always just like, I feel so drained from the amount, like you can relate. We work so often, and you know, I would say in due time I'm going to be more career focused on like my creative goals. I just can't do it right this moment. So
tell us what your creative goals are.
I mean, I just honestly want to freelance myself and start either doing like be a fitness instructor. I could
see that.
I would love to do that and just like really commit to it. I've thought about getting my vet tech license. I've thought about arranging flowers and just doing something part-time, honestly, because I'm just really tired of having my life being driven by capitalism and the market of our housing situation just going crazy, you know? And that's what I always like. My sanctity is my solo apartment where I have no roommates, and I'm like,
yeah, me too.
So at peace with that. So that's why I always think like I have to work hard. I have to keep it here,
Everybody's always like, well, you could just get a roommate and like cut the expenses. I'm like, no.
Like,
it's not gonna work for me.
I've had roommates of all types and sizes and psychotic problems for like over 10 years.
But what you were saying too, like when you work so much with people, you just have to come home and like for me,
and
it's like
no one be there.
If I'm shooting a wedding that's 450 people and I'm the one that's like in charge of like capturing everything and interacting with every single, like you interact with every single person there. There's no getting around it. You're interacting with everybody, if not nearly everybody, plus the staff, plus the planner. You know, there's so much going on, and plus you've just got music blaring your eardrums the entire time. When I come home, I don't want to come home to a roommate. I don't want to come home to anybody. I want to hear nothing. I want to see nobody.
And like when like more like not as like my close friends, because like if any of y'all ask me to go out, I'll be like, if I can muster the energy, yes, I will be there. But
my capacity is like a game of pool after that. I'm like, let's go.
Exactly. Me too. And like that, like, but other people who are maybe not as close to me, like, I come out and do this thing. I'm just like, I don't want to. I literally want to sit on this couch with my guinea pig, cook myself a meal, and just chill, because I just don't want to talk to anybody. I'll be on my phone a little bit, but like I don't want to talk to anybody. And they'll be like, "How was your day?" I'm like, it was chaotic. It was a lot, you know. And there's a lot that I can't even begin to recount to you, you know. Yeah. But you know, until like I have like a very serious life partner or something. No roommates. I can't do it. The guinea pig is enough for me. And he's already taking over my life.
I love that you're a guinea pig mom. You're the only person I know that owns one.
This is like my 10th guinea pig that I have. And I'm just like, I keep getting them. They just keep coming back to me. And honestly, I'm just like, that's fine.
It's so cute.
He's a little sweetie. And I do want to have like an animal rescue someday, like when I'm like older.
I could definitely see that.
I would love it. And especially like rodents and like other like exotic animals, like I would love that. Yeah. So when I have my farm someday.
I was just shooting on a farm in Homestead and they had like 50 bunnies and I was just like, do you think that they inventory these bunnies?
Yes.
Can I take one?
Like that. I'm like, they do inventory them.
Like how often do they inventory them? Like
let's hope the foxes don't get them. But no, I love rabbits. Like I would have a rabbit, but they require like a whole like second wing in your apartment.
Yeah, like, I had one for like 10 years when I was growing up, but now I have this little guy.
And literally the thing that's funny about my newest guinea pig, Spike, and even Gil hit my previous one.
Spike. I love his name.
He is literally like a chihuahua, and I've been like socializing him a lot, like taking him out when I go places and
stuff. Is he grumpy?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's like so well behaved, and I'm like, you are like the chihuahua in training.
Yeah. I feel like chihuahuas are grumpy unless you give them all the attention like Mr. Beans is getting.
You are grumpy.
On this episode.
And the thing is, I'll give it to him. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, the guinea pig will definitely be like, yo, I'm sleeping. Leave me alone. Like, all right, just want to make sure you're good.
He has boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah, he's just like, this is my time right now. Leave me alone. But yeah, that's like, I think the biggest thing that I think helps me like cope with kind of feeling...
It's like a decompression.
Well, like, not only that, but, like, I do feel a little, like, alone sometimes because I do live by myself. And sometimes, like, if I'm not in, like, a great space mentally, I'm like, something could happen to me. And, like, who would find out? Who would know?
Oh, my God. I think that every time I solo travel, I'm like out somewhere. I'm like, I could die right now. Like, mine goes so dark with that
Me too. And it's like, but I do care about that because, like, I used to have, like, I mean, I used to have my roommates and stuff, but like my best friend Olive lives like right across the way, and like she's pretty much my emergency contact now because everyone else is like either too far away or in a different state.
Yeah.
So it's like, but she would be there like that. So it's like that type of stuff. I'm always just like, all right, make sure you lock your door, keep everything good. Like, you know, that stuff, like I take that very seriously with like having this in like solitude and then like keeping it secure at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you want to like watch yourself. I would be like most paranoid about like somebody like following me or something home. Like.
It's happened one time and it was very recent. Like it was I was going home and like the security can see me leave. Yeah. But some guy was in his car. He was just like, "You're so beautiful," and I'm like, "Thanks," just like thumbs up, thanks, gotta go. And I'm in the car and he turns his car on and is just waiting there, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll wait here for a minute. Yeah. And so then I drive away. He follows me, and I'm just like, like just driving around like crazy, like scared. And then I look in my car when I'm about to leave. I look and there's a guy in his car with his penis out looking at me. And I was like,
oh no.
I skirted out of that place. So, and that's never happened to me. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, the fuck? I'm just like driving like a bat out of hell, like to just get away. Because I was like, that's scary. And like in certain areas in South Florida and Pompano, it's like, you're in like a really nice area and then all of a sudden you're in like the sticks or the hood or wherever, and I'm like, leave me alone. Like it's just so nasty. Yeah. So I like that was kind of like it freaked me out. Like I couldn't go to work for like a few days after that.
I'm always nervous when I'm leaving a job by myself, you know, like you're walking out with like all your gear and stuff like that, and it's like, damn,
someone could
it's like, damn, I really wish I didn't have to look over my shoulder every 2 fucking seconds, you know, like just trying to walk to my car that's like a block away, or you know, it's, I don't know.
And even like, you know, because I've always thought like maybe I should have a gun or something, like a small one, but I have my marijuana card, so I can't get one.
Oh really? What the fuck?
I
didn't know that was a thing.
It cancels it out, folks.
Oh.
even though you can open carry.
I was just about to say, even with those new laws.
It's like, it's a fucking lawless country around here. But like, that still scares me too, because I'm like, I just try my best to just like, I have 2 tasers and pepper spray, and I'm like, I hope that's enough. Because like, I'm not gonna have a knife. I don't want to get in a tussle and then I end up getting fucking stabbed. It's like, you know, so I definitely...
The same could be with a gun too, you know?
And even like areas around where like I live, where I know literally everybody on the block, there's still fucking weirdos over there. And I'm just like, not like Pennsylvania's any better, but like, it's just like, where do you go? Like, as a woman, you gotta just like, be like, looking all the time.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of hate that for us though.
Girl, I've been thinking about, like, once I have a lot more free time, I would love to learn karate.
Yeah.
Like...
Self-defense.
Like, just a little bit. And
we should do a little, like, Octo self-defense day.
We should. I think that'd be really great.
I was, like, plotting on camera.
No, honestly. And, I mean, I know, like, my bestie, like, she is all about, like, she knows how to fight. Yeah. So I feel like she could even just show some, like, very, like, simple things to do. But yeah, you don't like to have to think about stuff like that. You just want to live your life and have a good time and feel like you can be around a man without it being like
terrifying.
Like it's like, what's going on here? You know? So
I know. I feel like my only self-defense is like I would just start screaming very loud and just like make the biggest scene of life. But it's also, I don't know. It's just scary in the case of like if you're alone or something. You know, people are shitty.
Yeah, like I've even had, like, I live in a really nice neighborhood with a bunch of old people, and like I'm like leaving my car to go inside, and some guy's just like, ma'am, what's the time? Ma'am, can you tell me what the time is? And I'm just like
no, absolutely
running, not. Like running into my house. I'm just like, in this neighborhood? What the fuck? Like, you know, you never know. But we always got each other's back. I'm very, like, I would rather be sharing locations with everybody, but it's like, it's hard. Like, you're all the way down here. You're in Miami. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. Our other friend is in some crazy place in, like, West Palm, Jordan. She's far out. So I'm like, who do you call?
But listen, if you called me, I would, no matter how long the drive, I'm driving.
Same.
So.
Absolutely.
No, but I feel you. I don't know. Maybe I feel like that's why these conversations are important too, of kind of like shining the light of like, yeah, the experiences, you know.
It's brutal. And I think that, you know, and that's another thing when people who've never experienced the life of a dancer, a nightlife worker in general, it's not even that, like, you know, it's like it could happen to anybody. And like girls who are working late at night.
I was gonna say it starts with just like even being a woman or a feminine person, and then to the entertainment.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you gotta like travel in troves, you know. But I do, you know, like in my everyday like experience, like I'm pretty hyper vigilant on stuff. Like I don't really like to gamble with my life like that. So,
of course.
So I think, and I really genuinely believe that like my staff will keep us safe whenever we're there. Like they don't put up with bullshit there. So that's why I stay, because most places they're just like, oh well, the customer said that you did this to them, so you gotta go. Like, great, let me get my shit.
Like the customer's not unsafe right now is the difference.
Right. And like, and they were the ones trying to put hands where they don't belong.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting fired. Like I love that for me. So
well, we just talked about like contracts and stuff like that too. That's like something I have in mind where if I feel unsafe, I can still leave and I'm still going to get paid because I'm not, you know, I can't put myself in that position with the amount of equipment and, you know, and stuff like that I've got with me.
Just like
I'm not gonna play with it, you know.
No, and like to be feeling uncomfortable at work is like even like everyday jobs. Like I won't tolerate it. I used to tolerate it all the time and being like, I have to put up with this. I have to do what they say. And now I'm just like, anytime something like touches me the wrong way, I'm just like, I need to talk to you.
I mean, I feel like I had this conversation possibly with somebody else on an episode, but I remember being like 18 and I worked in jewelry and I would have creepy guys like all the time and it'd be so weird. Like you're buying like an engagement ring or something and then
hitting on you.
And then you're like being creepy to me, you know? And there would be like points where I'm like, oh, this customer's here. I have to go sit in the back and like wait in the back until they leave. But that affects my money and my sales when you work on commission and things like that. And I don't know, I quit working retail and stuff like a few years ago, but I will not, I wouldn't do that anymore. I would just call them out on like the shit they would say and just apologize to my manager later and be like, I'm sorry, I mouthed off, but I can't like tolerate that kind of behavior.
Right. And like whenever they say to you like, we'll handle it, it's like, no, I'm going to handle it. Like
I can speak for myself. I have a brain.
And not even that, it's like you can't, like everything will get misconstrued once you take the time to go bring them aside and then they're going to tell you some BS story of what they thought happened, when me, I'll just be like,
no,
like I will clap back. So like, you know,
I think it's just like a generation of men that aren't used to women like actually calling them, speaking up and saying something to them. So
my tolerance is just so fucking low. Even when I'm just like out shooting pool, having a good time, like people will just say the most wild stuff to me out of pocket, and I'm just like, I'll just pretend like I don't hear them anymore. I'm like, are you still talking to me?
Yeah.
Because I really wish you would stop.
Yeah.
Like,
my favorite thing is when a guy or somebody's like hitting on you and then they ask how old you are immediately after. I'm like, what?
Guys at the club will be like, so what's your name? It's Jax. No, what's your real name?
No.
Okay, well, what parts of town do you live at?
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, what is that by exactly? I'm like, do you
everything that you can't know.
The latitude and longitude of my fucking coordinates, you weirdo. And I'm just like, you realize these are all really like forward questions. Like, I'm just trying to get to know you.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but that's not how you even get to know a person in public. Or
it's so easy to just have like a normal conversation about something that's like a non sequitur.
Yeah.
Just about anything, about the weather, about, you know, that guy, or like, you know, because I'm always people watching and stuff. And there's this customer who is the cheapest motherfucker on the planet, and he looks like Nosferatu, the vampire. And every time I'm just like, Nosferatu's coming. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, look. And they're like, and then they get it because they're usually older customers. And they're like, wow, you know a lot about that older stuff. I'm like, I know. I'm so worldly. It's amazing. I'm an old soul. That's what they all love to say.
And you're like, now tip me.
Usually when I make them laugh, if I'm like putting them in stitches, they'll just be like, here you go.
Yeah.
You hot, funny girl, you. I'm just like,
you are a hot funny girl.
I really, honestly, and like the biggest pipe dream that I'm absolutely terrified of is doing stand-up comedy.
Oh my God, I'm gonna put you in touch with Brittany. I interviewed a stand-up comic recently.
Really?
She was like one of my last ones.
You
guys actually would get along so fucking well.
I need a type 5 set.
Yeah. No, actually, you guys are perfect. You guys would be like best friends, I feel like.
I'd love to be there. I just like, I've always, like, I don't know. I always thought that was just a way for people to like not talk like shit to me, because when I was younger, I always felt like people would be like weirdly bullying me, and I'm just like, and like, you know, and then there's the whole RuPaul's
But you're like allowed to clap back with the comedy, which is clap cute. Back.
Yes, and the other thing too is like people like don't expect me to be smart, so they're just like, whoa, like reference.
Yeah.
How old are you? And now I'm like, you have to guess.
Yeah.
I'm older than your son, probably. Hopefully. So.
It's funny that you say that that's like your pipe dream, because I feel like that would be my worst nightmare. It's like quite scary. Literally the opposite of what I would ever want to do.
Like,
I'm like, don't perceive me, don't look at me like that.
it's literally like bearing your soul of like your worst, most traumatic experiences and trying to get a joke out of it, and people will just be like,
that's what we were talking about, is like making basically commentary on really like traumatic or dark things and turning it into people, you know, kind of lightening their mood and stuff. But like I could never.
And for me, like I would try my best to not always be like in like, I want to do stripper comedy, because there are other people already doing that, in a sense. That her name is Jacques the stripper, not Jax. But she's pretty funny, and she did like a world, like not world tour, a countrywide tour last summer.
Oh, I didn't even know she did that. I saw like, I mean, I follow her, but I didn't know that she does that.
And like she talks a lot about her like divorce and, you know, definitely a lot of stripper experiences, because there are just so many funny things that happen that people say, and you're just like, what? Like, what did you say?
I feel like you would have content for years.
My best friend Michael's like, you need to write a book. I'm like, I probably should.
Oh yeah, you should actually. I think that'd be cool. I would read it.
I've got a lot of goals, and I'm thankful. Everyone's always like, you're so young, you've got so much time. I'm like, I hope so.
I kind of hate it when people say that to me.
It's really irritating, because it's just like, I don't really like to have any type of timer on myself, but when I get depressed, I'm just like, oh, I thought I'd be farther along.
I know, like, I was
30. Like 30 plus, girl. Like, and the thing is, like, as long as I keep my health and my mind right, I don't think it's really gonna matter, that timeline. And by the time, like, literally within the next 2 years, I'm like, I'm just gonna be like, I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done with the capitalism. I'm just going to do what I want to do and take the dive. It's like, because I look up to you. You have that, like, driven goal of independence and working for yourself and creating a good product, too, on top of it. Because not everyone can actually execute what they want to do. So for me...
But it takes failing.
Oh, for sure.
Not everything you throw in the water is going to, you know, bounce off from people. So you definitely going to fail a little bit.
You just get back up, you know? And so, like, I know that time is definitely coming for me, because I personally, like, I think 2 to 3 nights at the strip club is... like more than enough for me. Like I go in, I clean up, and I leave. And
but it's super good that you have that kind of freedom, and you know
I need the balance. Because it's like, it's just like, from when I was doing it 5 nights a week, I was just like, I don't have a life. I'm always in this black box dancing for idiots and who aren't tipping me. And then they're just like, no, what's your real name? I'm like, what's your real name, Chad? Like, is it really Chad? You know? But, like, it's just one of those things where, like, it's always a sweet spot when you meet that person who just wants to come, enjoy the girls, have a good time, and be just a very genuine, like, we're going to have a good time tonight. Those are the best nights, usually, where I'm like, I'm not getting up from this seat. And then you're like, oh, it's time to go home. Perfect.
Nice.
So, it's a wild world, but I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about, like, who I am truly as a person, and not being afraid to express that. Because for a while I was just kind of, like, doing things that I thought I should have been doing. And now I'm just like, I'm going to move to Florida. And I'm going to, you know, keep it moving. Like, I've never had as many book gigs in my entire life until I moved here. So it's like, it's obviously a land of opportunity, despite having to really, really search for that.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Good. I feel that too. No, it's a good place for entertainment, for creatives. A lot of people are trying to move out, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I feel like we kind of got it.
Some can move out.
Got it pretty good.
But you guys can't move out. No, it's true though. And like, I honestly didn't really have like the same like type of energy in my friend group that I do now. So it's like, it's definitely more fulfilling to my soul as opposed to like, you know, no offense to any previous friends of mine, but like, it just was not like where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so I had to just like start again.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to go anywhere else, I would probably want to like stay here and like be a traveling
I was gonna ask you about that because I feel like you have that option for sure. You can kind of move around a little bit.
And like the jet setter life, I've always like really dreamed about, and I have had people who are from other states be like, "Hey, like you should check out our group and stuff," and I'm like, "I'm going to." Like, I have it all like mapped out. It's just, you know, everything comes in like baby steps, I think, and I tried my best to be kind to the process and to myself that like I'm doing a lot better than I was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Like I've come up majorly. So and just like having my own peace, my own like mind, my own desires, you know, I definitely am just trying to like follow that.
Yeah.
And you know, I will dance my little toes until I can't no more. So
yeah. Well, I love to see it.
Yes.
And you're one of my favorite people. I mean, I met you years ago now.
I know.
Fuck, a long time. But I love watching you perform. I try to like go to anything that I can where I'm like, Jax is popping up somewhere. So
I love that. I appreciate that so much. And that's the thing too. It's like sticking out for your girlfriends and like going and like supporting them. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, it's not easy to do all the time, but when you can, it's just like
that's what creative people in general, for everybody listening.
Yeah, exactly.
is like just literally show up. So
yeah. And like, you know, I like to see what other people are doing. I like to feel inspired by the people who live, especially in Miami. Like I wish I could stomach moving down here, but I just don't think I can do it yet. Yeah. But whenever I am down here, it's like everyone's just so full of life and creativity where I'm just like, I want to do this too. You know?
You are doing it though.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're at the top of the list of people doing it for me, so
thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the only other goals that I think are like more short term is just needing to shoot more. And you
content creation.
You are at the top of my list for that.
Like handshaking here.
Like, I need to just like start taking pictures again because I've honestly kind of been like lacking with that, and I want to like get body painted again more. Like my guy's in Dubai right now, but when he comes back, I want to just like try to think of some new ideas and like try to incorporate that into like
you're like your own agent.
I'm trying. And like maybe, you know, just trying to push myself out there with like other performance groups and just sending my stuff in and just seeing what they say. You know?
Well, I think that you're brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm super happy that you came and sat down with me today.
You
fit me into the schedule.
I am honored. So thank you so much. My first podcast.
I will make sure I link you on social media and make sure that you share it around. And
I will.
People are checking you out.
I had such a good time talking with you.
Yeah, me too. This was nice. Well, just to finish it up, maybe I feel like I've forgotten the past couple, but I have been asking everybody what their most listened to song is right now as a little segue out of it. What are you listening to that I can add to my little playlist?
I'm like super in love with Summer Walker.
Okay.
And her, the No Love remix with SZA and Cardi B, because she's just like, she's my little awkward rapper queen, and she has the most beautiful voice, and I'm always just like, let it play. So I you know, it gets me in my feels. So her and like, who's the other one? Princess Nokia I've listened to again. Like I've brought her back into the loop, and I'm just like, my emo days are coming back. I love it.
Cute. So, I will add that to the playlist. I've been trying to grab from every artist.
All Princess Nokia, all Summer Walker. If you just want to be like, damn, her voice is so beautiful. You know? So
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been the Little Art Studio podcast with Jax Fantastic. My name again is Ashlyn McKibben. Like I said, I will link everything for you guys to check her out. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.